Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Really grateful to have you here, and it is my pleasure today to review for you Fougere Royale from the house of Houbigant. So stay tuned. Okay, so classical fragrance, actually the originator of the Fougere genre. It's where we get the name for the family in fragrance, Fougere Royale. Fougere meaning fern in French. It's an attempt to recreate an imaginary note of fern, as fern has no smell. So just kind of the beginning of outdoorsy, foresty scents for men, you could say. Another pioneer in the fragrance world, bringing the synthetic note coumarin to market. First time that they isolated it from tonka beans, so you get this very unique kind of medicinal sweetness in here, and that also kind of branched out and began a entry point for men's fragrances moving forward into the modern era, kind of giving it a type of sweetness that isn't necessarily feminine, I would say. So this is an EDP concentration, the only one I've tried. There is an extrait de parfum, but that's like $600. So I haven't tried that one. But this 2010 re-release is based on an 1880s original version. So Roja Dove is the creative director behind this fragrance, so they definitely did a good job bringing a classical scent profile to a contemporary market by doing that. The perfumer was Rodrigo Flores Roux. He is the in-house perfumer that has done many of the John Barbados fragrances, Vintage and Artisan Pure being some of my favorites from them. He's also done Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino. Put a picture of that bottle up over here. I've got a sample of it right here, one of the more popular summertime niche fragrances. And if you're a fan of Rodrigo Flores Roux' work, he has a Creed Aventus clone from this indie brand Hawthorne. He's done a number of fragrances for them. This one they've rebranded as Canary Diamond, so if you want to check it out, go look for Canary Diamond over there with them. Okay, so we're going to get into the notes behind this fragrance. Okay, getting into the notes, let's check it out. I'm going to spray this one on hand, just going to get a refresher here. And I'll put a picture of the notes on the screen over here, but what I get mostly is obviously oak moss, lavender, and coumarin. Those are the central components that launched the genre from this fragrance's composition moving forward. So lavender, oak moss, coumarin. You also get in this a very unique chamomile note. It plays a key part in this, and it makes it what it is, I would say, in some sense. That chamomile plays out in a lot of different accords in here that tie it together, for me at least. So there's a very green lavender, a very sparkly bergamot, and that chamomile note in the opening. The mid has geranium, rose, carnation, and cinnamon, so kind of like a spicy floral thing going on. Keeps it masculine for sure, and then the base has a lot of the sweeter elements that this fragrance has to offer, like amber, coumarin, which is like the tonka bean extract. It also has some patchouli that also both adds earthy and sweet elements to it. I actually pick up a little bit of vetiver in this fragrance as well, which I don't think is listed in the notes. Clary sage, oak moss. So those are really the main notes that I get off of this one. And so those notes all come together to offer up about 4 main accords that I would say exist in this. That's going to be aromatic, sweet, floral, and spicy. Aromatic, sweet, floral, and spicy. Those are going to be like the 4 main accords that I get out of this. Like I said, the aromatic has foresty elements, kind of replicating that fern smell. You've got oak moss, clary sage, greenish lavender. I think those are kind of like the main foresty elements there. And then the sweetness, you've got the coumarin, the chamomile, I think adds a very nice sort of like, almost like a honey-like sweetness to the composition. And then floral from the chamomile, geranium, and rose. There's a rose note in here, I don't know if I mentioned. So those all kind of play up the floral accord, and then the spicy is again carnation, cinnamon. A little bit from the clary sage I think lends the spiciness for me as well, and kind of the oak moss gives a bit of a rougher textural feel. Getting into the textures, I think there's about 4 main textures in here as well. I get a little bit of obviously well, maybe not obviously, but kind of like a creamy, more like buttery sensation. It's like right in between creamy and velvety or silky. So just like a very nice, smooth, almost like melted butter. Like it's a solid, but once it hits your palate, it starts to melt. I think the chamomile adds a key component to that sort of a smooth elegance of the composition, as well as the florals. So yeah, you get like this very buttery composition, very sparkly textural feel from the bergamot. Yeah, just very bright, and that sparkly sensation lasts throughout the wearing experience. I pick it up hours into wearing it. Then almost like a glassy, well-polished marble style textural feel. Like if you've ever just like smelled like up close to stone like that. It doesn't actually have a smell, but there's this like mentholic coolness like coming off of it in some sense. I get a little bit of that in here to some degree. So yeah, like buttery, polished or glass-like textural feel, the sparkly sensation in there. And then I also get like almost like this hay-like dry grassiness. There's like an element of that, like the dried tobacco in here as well. There's some powder. It's like powdery, but like grassy powdery instead of like makeup-y powdery, if that makes sense. So those are like sort of the four main textural components that I get out of the wearing experience on this. Yeah, just elegant stuff. The tonality of the fragrance, I would say this is more of a bright fragrance than a dark fragrance. It's both cooling and warming. The geranium in here takes the forest and makes it very outdoorsy, cool breeze coming through the trees type of foresty sensation. So there's like a cooling quality from the geranium, I would say. Cooling, minty. But there's a lot of warmth in here from the sweet elements from the chamomile, cinnamon, and coumarin. So this balances warm and cool, I would say. So it's light, but also both warm and cool. It's very natural smelling and has a lot of vibrancy. There's not a lot of synthetics that I pick up in this one. So it is more natural than synthetic. And the colors that sort of this evokes when I smell it are very pastel. I think they did a good job with this frosted glass sort of bright green color. Very Easter type colors come to mind, like the pastel greens and pinks when I wear this fragrance. So speaking of the pastel greens and pinks, some of the everyday scent profiles that come to mind when I wear this fragrance. Buttermints. If you've ever gotten those little package of buttermints, they kind of hand them out at like weddings and funerals, like maybe Easter baskets amidst a pack of peanuts, something of that nature. This kind of reminds me of that buttermint smell, maybe from like the geranium and the other sweet elements in here. It has that quality going on for me. This also definitely smells like a forest. Like I've said many times, it has a very outdoorsy sensation. Champagne comes to mind. It's that sparkly elegance and class going on about it. So these are some of the more everyday scent profiles, like I said, and then grass in some sense as well, just because it has this like herbal quality. It's like a dried grass almost. It's like I said, more of a textural feel, but these are just some of the things that I could kind of think of to help describe what this might smell like. Another way to kind of do that is some of the fragrances in my collection that I could compare this to. Baldessarini Eau de Cologne Concentrate, the chamomile that's done in here is awfully similar to how it's done in this. Really nice, cheapy too. I hear that the non-concentrate version is a little bit better. This does have a little bit of a synthetic textural feel in this one. But that one is kind of the chamomile it shares, but not much else. Kind of in the same ballpark, but not quite smelling the same as this one, Lalique pour Homme. Another sort of lavender heavy, a little bit more powdery, but similar vein. This isn't quite a Fougere. This is a little bit more barbershop minus the outdoorsy qualities, I would say, but still shares that kind of powdery lavender. Another fragrance, Beau de Jour, another sort of barbershop style fragrance. This is a little bit more dense on lavender and patchouli, whereas this Houbigant is like, it has that light airy quality from the floral components. This Fougere from Therapia by Aroma kind of reminds me of the Houbigant here without the sweetness and the chamomile. So this is a little bit more of a medicinal style Fougere, but also very potent, powerful, cool, cold. I really like this one, but it might be a little bit too green in some instances, a little bit too medicinal. But yeah, like a little bit less sweet version of that. Really great Fougere from Therapia by Aroma. So yeah, those are some of the fragrances in my collection I think sort of smell similar to this fragrance to kind of get your head around it. None of them are one-to-one by any means, no clones, but they're all kind of in the same ballpark, I would say. So who and when, who, what, when, where on this fragrance. The best time to wear this fragrance, I think this is daytime wear, or actually you could wear this very versatile. You could wear this as a signature, day in, day out. Really good sort of date night fragrance if you're going to a little bit of a more classy restaurant. The patchouli and the tonka or the coumarin and everything here gives this a certain like that dense sweetness with that nice airy elegance coming together in a very balanced way. So yeah, this is perfect versatile. The only non-versatility about this fragrance is that it does demand a good attire, or you have to dress it up, I would say. Like if you don't dress it up, it's going to wear you, and I would say in that instance it can come off as old manish or dated if you're not looking the part. But when you do adorn yourself in the Royale fashion, this is not going to come off dated, and you're going to look and smell like somebody that's got their stuff together, per se. So yeah, a clean-cut sort of guy, I would say, is definitely going to wear this. Year-round versatility, I think its weakest points are going to be in the summer and winter, and its strong points are going to be in the fall and winter. Are going to be the wear times for this one. That is, you know, I think it's more of a mature fragrance, definitely 30 and up, definitely very masculine. I don't think there's too much unisex about this, even though it is a little bit sweet. Very rare. I've maybe smelled one Fougere that I think is unisex, since it is sort of meant to be a masculine fragrance. Let's see, you got who, what, when, and where. Yeah, dressed up. Definitely, I think, you know, this is going to be good for somebody like with an entrepreneurial spirit, a very take action kind of person, but you know, it's also quiet confidence kind of character, somebody that's taking action but not necessarily like talking about taking action or bragging about it after they do it. They're just getting the job done in a slow and steady fashion. I also, because it's both elegant and outdoorsy, I could see people that are into golf or polo or like lacrosse or trophy hunting, like these all sort of like higher class sports in the outdoors. This sort of comes to mind when I smell it, or those sort of characters come to mind when I smell this. Definitely, you know, a little bit more mature, definitely like a father figure fragrance. I think this would be perfect to get for any father for Father's Day. This is a perfect fragrance for people that have responsibility for other people. It just carries that essence very well about it. And yeah, like I said, the attire, it's definitely going to demand something to be a little bit more dressed up, business casual at the lowest end of it. And I think khaki and gray color schemes are going to go well with this one. I think it's perfect for a sort of wedding, groom black tie event, but I think it's more strong suited to those, you know, just softer tones, I would say. It's definitely got that softer tone about it too, very gentlemanly sort of character would wear this. Like I said, quiet confidence comes to mind as a descriptor of somebody that would wear this one. So yeah, 30 plus, gentleman, entrepreneur, some outdoorsmen as well. It definitely does have like this outdoorsy, earthy, foresty quality with like patchouli and oak moss and clary sage. So these elements come to mind for who I would recommend this fragrance for. And in terms of pricing, it is, or we'll get to pricing at the end, projection and longevity. So I probably should have mentioned this early on, but not the greatest. I think about average between 5 to 8 hours is what I get with this fragrance, depending. And that's perfectly fine. I think it's great for that. It has really, really good projection and loudness in the first 2 hours. Then it comes down to being pretty close skin scent, but not much compliment factor. I don't think it's that mass appealing, but it is a joy to wear. And then finally, the pricing. Now, the best price that I could find this one for currently, since it doesn't seem to really come up in the US discounters, is News Parfums, which I think might be like a French or UK discounter, and it's like 150 euros. I think it comes out to be about like 170 or something after taxes and shipping once you get this one over here to the States, which I think is about like $20 cheaper than what you can get it at like Lucky Scent with a good coupon. So that is my review of this classic Fougere Royale, one of my favorite Fougeres in my collection. Let me know if you've tried this one, and if I had to give it an overall rating, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.